there's been some recent controversy about Bayonetta 3. I've got a story here from Gamesradar.com. I'll link it in the description box. Bayonetta 3 voice actor row sparks industry-wide conversations over standards of pay. Pay for some voice actors is much on the low end. Basically, what happened is a long-serving Bayonetta voice actor Helena Taylor has alleged being offered an insulting $4,000 to reprise her role in the upcoming Bayonetta 3, encouraging fans to boycott the game and prompting an industry-wide conversation around the standards of pay. First off, just because you've been insulted with the pay and stuff is no reason for fans to boycott the game. That's not going to happen. I mean, I'm sure some people might, and some people might feel bad about it, but it's going to take more than that. One of the reasons why is because voice actors aren't considered as important as perhaps other areas and stuff. And you have arguments and stuff, and I'll get to that in a second. But Platinum Games had initially put Taylor's absence from the game to various overlapping circumstances. The actor explains on Twitter that it was very much about pay. The developer allegedly offered Taylor the role with lower remuneration following an audition, though Taylor eventually turned it down following dialogue with Hideki Kamiya, which is one of the Platinum, basically. That led to the final offer of $4,000. Following Taylor's statements, Kamiya tweeted, "Sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's all I can tell now. By the way, beware of my rules." The rules Kamiya refers to involving blocking users on Twitter, which seemingly happened en masse until their account briefly ceased to exist at the time of the writing in his return. It's one of first of all, why is this person? I don't know why the person keeps putting, until their account and stuff, his account, but whatever. Hideki Kamiya, there are some things in which he seems kind of cool about, but man, he seems like one of the biggest assholes in the world. He got this list of rules that he wants you to follow if you're going to tweet at him, or else he'll block you. And it's like, dude, fuck you. You're not a big enough guy. You're not a big enough person to have these list of rules. I mean, hell, even if fucking Shigeru Miyamoto himself had a list of these rules, there'd be plenty of people who are like, oh, fuck off with that. And that's Miyamoto. Well, I mean, the most legendary in my eyes, the most legendary developer of all time. The greatest of all time. It's like, I'm nothing against him. I'm not going to sit there and say he's a bum. He's never done anything, but it's like, you damn sure ain't done enough to be having these fucking rules. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Then they talk about how various people, there's one voice actor shares they made more from their work on a 2D platform called Freedom Planet 1 than voicing 3 characters in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. As Sean Chiplock explains on Twitter, the $2,000 to $3,000 they got paid per game for their work on Zelda games is weighted against the number of hours they spent in the studio, whereas Galaxy Trail threw sales royalties into the Freedom Planet 1 deal. Chiplock also says that voicing 2 Detective Pikachu characters was more lucrative than Breath of the Wild due to working in a union contracted day rate and royalties. Yes, my 2 off-screen lines in Detective Pikachu have made me more than all of Breath of the Wild did. Some of the reason, though, is because voice acting is looked at by a fair amount of people as, well, hey, you're just sitting around talking. It's kind of like an inker for a comic book, or maybe a colorist or something, where basically, or like referees in a sports game or something. People only notice if you fuck up, essentially. If you do your job and you do it well, most people, I'm not going to sit here and say they're not going to notice, because they'll notice. It's just most people will just be like, maybe shrug their shoulders and move on. And it's sad because all those people I mentioned are very important to the final product. Voice actors are very important to a video game, obviously, or a movie or whatever. Just as an inker, a colorist, all those people. They're very important to a comic book. Referees are important to sports games. On and on and on. And it's just one of those things where it's like, it's unfortunate, but that's just the, because I mean, and on Twitter you'd find a bunch of people who are defending the voice actors and stuff, saying they deserve more, they deserve this and that. But you'll even on Twitter, as liberal and as crazy as it is, you'll still see some people being like, no, fuck you. You're sitting there talking, reading lines. It's like when a YouTuber sits there and complains about putting their videos together and all this and that. It's not the same. In most people's eyes, basically. It's not the same kind of deal. They kind of give a few more examples. Treatment of voice actors is larger, blah, blah, blah. Crunchyroll came under fire after it was revealed that Mob Psycho 100 would see a new English voice actor take over the leading role of Shigeo Mob Kageyama, with long-serving actor Kyle McCarley alleging that this was due to his desire for a union contract. This came as voice actors on other popular shows pulled back the curtain on how much they were getting paid, with several voice actors on the film Jujutsu Kaisen Zero alleging to being paid $150. And of course they said they've contacted Platinum and Nintendo for comment. We'll update this story with any new information. That ain't gonna happen. They'll give you a generic kind of press release because they can't comment on it. Hell, if they tell you anything, they can get sued. And so it's better to just say we can't comment on this matter at this current time. That's pretty much the whole article. Like I said, I'll link in the description box if you want to read it for yourself. But there are links you can follow and stuff. But it's just, again, it's the kind of thing where it's unfortunate that voice actors are considered. I don't want to say dispensable. But like if you looked at voice actors versus like say actors in a movie or a TV show or whatever, the average person would probably consider the voice actor much lower in a total pool. Now, even people who like voice actors and stuff would still be like, yeah. Although they would probably say, well, yeah, it's harder to actually be in a movie and physically act it out and stuff. Although I have seen some people on Twitter trying to allege that voice acting is more difficult than being in a movie. They said you could be in the booth for hours recording intensive dialogue of yells and screams and stuff. And it's like, if that's happening, then you need to fucking quit that job because you shouldn't be sitting there. And I know the stories. I've heard the stories about for Dragon Ball Z or whatever, or various animes of people passing out from basically screaming too hard or hurting their vocal cords or whatever. It's like, who the fuck is running this shit? Because for a lot of these games, you should, if you're trying to give like grunts and groans and stuff, that shouldn't take more than fucking a couple minutes at most to record. For Christ's sake, what the hell's going on? You shouldn't be spending hours in a booth recording this shit. I'm talking in terms of that. Now, in terms of like grunts and groans and yells and screams and all that. If you're talking about just regular talking and stuff, I guess I could see doing that, but it still shouldn't take that long. I mean, not that I'm trying to present myself as an expert or anything like that, but it's just one of those things. It's kind of unfortunate that there's a lot of people who are considered in all walks of life and all jobs and stuff who are considered not as important, even though they really are. They don't get the respect they deserve. But like I said, I'll link this in the description box if you want to read it for yourself. Hey, maybe I'm wrong on some stuff. If I am, go ahead. Feel free to tell me. I mean, shoot. But yeah, I don't know what will happen with this. I don't think anything will really come of it. Some people will kind of be like, well, hey, voice actors need to be paid more, and then it'll kind of go back to the way it was before. But maybe I'm just too pessimistic. Anyway, I'll wrap this up here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good one.